Oh, baby. We are in the reptile room for the last time this year. 2024 has been one of the most rewarding years of my entire life, yet it has also been one of the most devastating. This year has come with many ups and downs all throughout the entire year, and I want to bring you guys along the journey with me to share my 2024 with you. It was a year spent traveling with some of my best friends, having the most incredible laughs, and sharing the best moments together. But it was also a year filled with immense loss to both myself personally as well as our community, and I'm sure you guys have a good sense of where this is going. So let's walk through 2024 with you all and share what the heck was 2024. Myself, Bree, and my family rolled in the new year in Maui, one of my very favorite places. I used to go there as a kid, and now returning as an adult, really nothing has changed. If you know me, you know that I'm basically a fish when I'm in Hawaii. Anytime I possibly can spend in the ocean, that's where I'll be. This year I was able to find so many crazy creatures in the deep blue sea, including, but not limited to, sea turtles, eels, octopuses, octopus, as well as hundreds, if not thousands, of very cool tropical fish, including one of my favorite fish that I decided to commemorate on me forever, the blue box fish. While we were in Hawaii, I even decided to go birding, whatever that is. All I can say is that it hurt my neck. I'm used to looking down for herps when I'm going out in the wilderness, but now I'm looking up to the sky to see some flying things that think they're reptiles but aren't quite reptiles. Wait, how did that get here? This was supposed to be about birding, but we saw what we actually came for, and that was Jackson's chameleons. I have to say, Hawaii has some pretty incredible species, and I'm definitely happy Bree and I took the time to go out onto the mountain and see some beautiful birds. Needless to say, it was a little weird and different for me. And that was the beginning of my year. An incredible, beautiful paradise that I get to spend with my family and the people that I love the most. Unfortunately, upon returning, my joy was clouded by sadness as I heard of Brian Barczyk's worsening prognosis, and he started going downhill. And I come to find out, unfortunately, on January 14th, we all lost one of our favorite personalities, one of the best people that I know, Brian Barczyk. And now this one hit a little bit different for me. I know to most of you, he's on your YouTube screen. Maybe you've had the pleasure of meeting him in person or visiting the Reptarium and seeing him there. And those are all truly highlights of what he stands for and what he believes in. But he was a friend to me. I mean, obviously, I watch him on YouTube every day. I've helped him build the 2 Reptariums. To hear of his loss was absolutely devastating. Thankfully, I was able to pretty much drop everything and drive down to Michigan to attend his funeral, where I got to see many of my good friends that I've made over the years, building the Reptarium, helping him along, and we get to kind of share the moments together, enjoy each other's company, and celebrate the life of Brian Barczyk. Brian's passing was something that I've never experienced before. Don't get me wrong, I've had many family members pass away over the years, and those are challenging, but Brian was my first friend that I had to join his funeral, and it just feels wrong. It really truly does just hit completely different. As strange as it might sound, it was great to be able to share our memories together, to spend time at the Reptarium and see the animals that he put his love and his heart into, and it was healing in a way. February was kind of one of those planning interim months. I spent the time planning our trip to the Colombian Chacoan rainforest, bringing all the people that were coming with me into those meetings, talking, going over the itinerary, and simply just planning. But even though I was busy with, my regular job and doing that planning and whatnot, we still managed to make it down to my good buddy's house, Logan and Liv in Michigan. You guys might know him as the bearded bug guy. He is one of my favorite people. Logan, if you're watching this, it's true. And we got to check out and make a video on his entire collection, showing off his brand new massive greenhouse he built for Big Blue, which is a beautiful blue beauty rat snake, one of the coolest species out there, and something that most people don't know is they get massive. I didn't even realize how massive they truly got until I saw Mr. Blue. If you guys are interested, any videos or anything that I mentioned in this video, I will link in the description down below, and there will be cards in one of these two places. March was one of the highlights of my year because I got to spend about 17 days in the rainforest with some of my best friends looking for frogs, snakes, birds, and many other crazy cool critters like caimans. Thanks, Cesar, for not letting us hold that one. Appreciate it. A year and a half of planning later, we were off on an airplane to the rainforest in Colombia. I have to say that that trip was one of the best trips of my entire life. I've been fortunate enough to travel the world with some of my greatest friends, including Madagascar, Costa Rica, and now Colombia. This was just a very different expedition. It was really cool to be an integral part of planning a trip to see specific species across a different day. It was an absolute marathon with several kilometer hikes straight up mountains to see frogs that weren't there, and plenty of days of travel with many laughs in between. And I know you guys haven't seen too much of that trip yet, but I assure you 2025 will bring hopefully all of my travel content. There's a lot coming. And I think the main takeaway from all the traveling that I've done, including this Colombia trip, is if you have the means to travel, do it while you can. Places like Madagascar, even the rainforests of Colombia, are slowly being deforested, and in Madagascar's case, rapidly being deforested. You will not have this opportunity forever to visit these incredible creatures. I'm very privileged and get to take care of many of the animals that we saw on our trip in our room every day, and without a doubt, my favorite experience is being able to visit them in the wild, seeing their natural habitat, seeing the pressures that us humans are putting on their natural habitat, and the likelihood that many of those populations might be gone in weeks, months, years, maybe even decades. But if we keep going at the rate we're going, they will be gone. So my advice to you, and if you take anything out of this video, go do that trip, because the memories and the friendships that you forge whilst in the jungle, hiking up a mountain, are unparalleled by anything else in the natural world. It is a force that is unbreakable. Returning home from the trip was a very sad time. Unfortunately, we had to leave the beautiful tropics and come back to Canada in March. Not the best place. Myself and Bria attended an expo, which rolled us right into April. And all I can say for April is 100K subscribers. You guys are the best. I started this channel like 12 to 14 years ago. I think this year was my 14th year. I finally had hit 100,000 subscribers. It is all thanks to you. I'm very grateful for all of you to choose to tune into my channel when there's so much else on the internet. You pick this guy, some dude from Canada, that decided to pick up a camera because he thought that there might be some community that could be made over leopard geckos. And that's a great tie-in for what happened next in April. Unfortunately, my celebratory shenanigans were cut short because my boy, the OG, my best friend, for those of you that have watched the channel for any amount of time, you would know Striker, my leopard gecko. He has been declining over the past few months at this point, really over the past year or so, but he was still eating, he was still defecating, he still had decent mobility, though his back legs weren't quite what they used to be, and I monitored that very closely throughout the entire last few years of his life. And unfortunately, I noticed a decline. Come my birthday, Striker decided that he was gonna start going downhill. I knew that I couldn't let my best friend suffer, so thankfully he decided to hold it out just a little bit longer. I ended up taking some photos with my YouTube plaque, and him, the inspiration for this channel, him and I started this channel that many years ago. Unfortunately, he can't see the end of the channel, but he did make it that far. It was at that point that I knew I didn't have much time, and I did end up deciding that it was best to lay him to rest. And I can know that for the 21 years that I had him, he was able to live the fullest life that he possibly could. He took his last breaths looking into the person who had loved him for the previous 2 decades, me. And though it was very challenging and the ramifications of his loss are still felt today, every time I enter the room, it still feels like a little void. And honestly, I don't expect that to go away anytime soon. 20 years is a long time to be part of somebody's life, especially when I first got him and the integral role he played into my mental well-being and my kind of lack of social life. He really was there and would listen to every word I had to say. Big ups to you, buddy. I love you. The room will never be the same without you. And with that, May kind of went by in a breeze. Some might say a little bit of a daze. I didn't do a whole lot in May. It was mostly just me kind of trying to recover, cope with the reality of there now being kind of a void in the reptile room. And I was also doing some planning for some trips that we'll talk about in a few minutes here. The first weekend of June, me and my friends went up on a trip to Northern Ontario to check out some Massasauga rattlesnakes, and Kayla, the lucky winner, is the one that spotted the only real snake that we found that trip. Massasauga rattlesnake. That day just happened to be overcast and only like 10 degrees in the sunlight, so being on a boat for a couple hours was pretty chilly, but thankfully we had some good friends with us. We had an amazing time, and I want to thank Eric for planning it all. He did a stand-up job doing so, and I cannot wait to go looking for more stuff this summer in Ontario, because it is really cool to get to know your native fauna, and being from Alberta, we didn't have a whole lot there. Now I have friends that like reptiles out here, and I'm gonna make the most of it. June also happened to be the month that I decided, you know what, I need to finish this Blue Histrionica Viv. And that I did. I busted out several days worth of work, basically just getting home from work and then going straight to building and building over the entire weekend until it was completely finished. And don't worry, I did film for you all. I know, it's not posted yet, but it will be coming very soon. I wanted to get it out this year, but unfortunately that's not happening. So early next year, you guys can expect to see the Blue Histrionica Viv, because it is looking nice and crispy, and I'm sure that you guys will enjoy the video. June also happened to be baby season, where hoggies started hatching and our lives became much more busy with primarily reptiles, let's be real. Baby season is always kind of stressful. Thankfully, Bree handles pretty much all of the hoggies, but this is also when all the Tachypodromus babies started hatching, so we had to build tanks and get everything ready for them to grow out and eventually go on to you guys. Speaking of which, I do still have some available, so if you are interested in Tachypodromus, we will be shipping in the new year to the US and throughout Canada. Weather permitting, of course. We ended up starting the month going down to Pennsylvania to visit our friend Garrett Hartle and celebrate his annual Retic Fest. This was something that none of us really anticipated, but we were invited and we had to go down to check out his facility, and I'm so happy we did. It was an absolute whirlwind of a trip. I think it was 28 hours round trip. We woke up bright and early before dawn and made our journey down to Pennsylvania, where we would hang out with Garrett Hartle and all of his friends and patrons and a couple special guests, enjoy some food, some beverages, and a great time looking at some crazy retics. And I have to say, Garrett, if you're watching this, I would sell my soul for Super Dwarf, pure locality. Thank you. Happy New Year. Because going to Pennsylvania wasn't enough, we decided to head west over to Ohio to visit my good friend Troy Goldberg at the Tropical Garage. We're only there for a few hours, but my buddy Logan idolizes him and knew I had to share his incredible collection with some of my best friends. And I'm very glad I did. We had a great time. Logan nerded out the entire time. If you don't know who Troy Goldberg is, what are you doing? You watch my channel, you should probably know of his as well. He has one of the craziest frog rooms on YouTube for sure, and probably in the world. It is absolutely stunning. I have done a few tours on my channel of his place, so you can check those out in the links down below. And he actually just came out with a brand new updated 2024 frog room tour for you guys all to watch. His cinematography is impeccable, his frogs are ridiculous, and his tanks are second to none, so there's really nothing to lose. Go check him out down below. And that was most of July. I mean, that was only one weekend, like I mentioned, like 28 hours, but the rest of July was basically just preparing for the insanity that August, September, and October were going to be, where my parents made their very first trip out to Ontario to visit me, where I got to share with them one of the natural wonders of the world, Niagara Falls, from the best side, the Canada side. I have to say my parents loved it. They had a great trip out here. Even though it was just a weekend, I'm very happy that they were able to make it out here, and I'm very fulfilled to see them because it has been a while. I mentioned August was going to be crazy, and it certainly lived up to it. For the next 12 weeks, from August to the end of October, we would only have about 2 weeks off to do kind of what we needed to do in the reptile room, and the rest of the time we'd be at work during the week and then going to do something on the weekend. That started with a trip back down to Michigan, one of my favorite places, to visit Liv and Logan again and to pick up some of our expo displays, which was about an hour and a half away from them. We spent that weekend enjoying the beautiful tanks that Logan sets up. And if you don't know who Logan is, I'll mention it again, that bearded bug guy on Instagram. And I think he's supposed to be doing some YouTube here pretty soon. So if and when his YouTube channel comes out, I'll update it in the description down below. The weekend after that, we celebrated some guy named Adam Wickens. I don't know if you've heard of him. Apparently he's a big deal in the history realm of YouTube, informal history or something. I don't know. Cool guy, nice wife. That's weird. Now they have a kid too, so that's cool. But in all seriousness, Adam, thanks for inviting us. We loved it, had a great time seeing your collection, and can't wait to see it again soon. Shortly after the trip down to see Adam, we ended up on a plane again, off to one of my favorite places in the US, which is Phoenix, Arizona. My parents have a home there, so I brought my girlfriend Bree and a couple of my friends down to herp and to go see the Grand Canyon, which finally, after like a decade of them owning their house, I have seen the Grand Canyon. I don't think my parents have gone yet still. I was thrilled to go see some of my friends in Arizona again that I haven't seen in like 5 or 6 years. We went out herping, we had plenty of laughs together and some serious life chats, which is always appreciated, especially for somebody like me. It was a great time and I cannot wait to go back again in 2025. Our Phoenix trip spilled over into September, where we would have to leave the desert and come back to Canada. We did have a full schedule ahead of us. We were in full go-go mode, preparing for the largest reptile expo in Canada, the CRBE in Mississauga, Ontario. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it wasn't the best reptile expo in terms of like sales and that kind of side, but it was a wonderful time spending an entire weekend with all of our good friends at a communal place where we can all eat, drink, and be merry together. There's no rest for the wicked. The next weekend was the Midwest Frogger meetup in Michigan once again. I think that's like the 4th time this year, something like that, where I was able to see Troy and a bunch of other frogging friends again and hang out for the day at Mike Rizzo's place, Glassbox Tropicals. If you guys haven't checked out Glassbox Tropicals, it's not sponsored or anything, but go check him out. He's got a ton of awesome stuff, tons of hardscapes, everything you need to set up a wonderful tank for your frogs. After the meetup though, Logan and I decided that you can't visit Michigan without going to one of my favorite places on earth, the Reptarium. We hung out with Salt, who has grown so much now. I remember when we first built the Reptarium, she was able to fit in one of your hands. Now she's a behemoth gator. We were also able to enjoy the stench of popcorn with Stitch, the binturong. Never thought I'd be able to hold one of those in my life. Now we're rounding out our trips, but it is the largest trip of our entire summer, and that was going down to Florida.
To Animalcon 2024.
One of the, actually no, the best weekend of the year. I'm just so thankful that we get to spend the entire weekend meeting fans like you guys watching this video, hanging out with creators that we only get to see once a year at Animalcon, just enjoying the vibe that is Animalcon and Florida, because we're from Canada, so Florida's a treat. Except this time it wasn't so much of a treat. Animalcon was during the heart of hurricane season, and Mother Nature just decided to toss us a casual Cat 5 hurricane to deal with.
White City, it's going towards areas like
Keep an eye on this one, please. If something happens around here, let me know.
Our plans of going to various different facilities and YouTubers to hang out and see their collections and film it for you guys was unfortunately foiled, and I would now be spending a week with all my friends helping out Will and his family prepare their facility for what could be a devastating blast from a hurricane. If you guys want more details on that, I do have a link up here for you guys to check out. Thankfully, the hurricane wasn't that bad, but what we didn't really expect was we had to watch out for tornadoes. and only a mile away there was a tornado that touched down. I think it went like 21 miles on the ground and wiped out many communities. It was very tough to see. We spent the next day after the storm going over to other people's facility, cleaning and helping out with them. Thankfully, we made it out of Florida relatively safe, albeit a little bit late for NARBC Tinley Park, which is arguably the second best weekend of the year. It is always a blast getting to see some crazy herps that we don't get up here in Canada and hang out with a bunch of friends and other content creators. It was also fantastic meeting so many of you at Tinley Park. This year was probably the biggest year in terms of like meeting subscribers and saying hi to a bunch of people that watch the channel. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm so thankful for you guys choosing to watch the channel and all the reptile rooms that come with it. Of course, I had to make a video of Tinley Park, so if you're interested in some of the rarest and coolest reptiles, links in the description, go check it out. After returning from the extravaganza that was Florida and Chicago, now we're back at home. I decided the weekend after to drive down to Troy Goldberg's house once again in order to carpool with him over to New York, where American Frog Day was being held, and I am so happy I did. I got to meet so many of you guys, see so many incredible frogs that I really wish I could have brought home. Man, if I lived in the US, I would have been toast. My bank account would have been straight zeros all the way across the board. These were the people that I've been talking to for years in some cases, and I've never had the opportunity to meet them except at American Frog Day. Unfortunately, American Frog Day was kind of cut a little bit short for me. I got the news from Bree, and I checked online and it was true. One of our very valued community members here and one of my friends, Dingo Dinkleman, had passed away. Don't get me wrong, we weren't best friends by any means, but I have met him several times. He's invited us over to his park in South Africa, and we didn't have the opportunity to go yet. I suppose it's a little late now. My heartfelt condolences are extended to his family and his friends and everybody who was affected by his passing. Truly a catastrophic loss for this community. After 12 weeks of continuous travel and working our regular jobs, it's time to take a break. Realistically, November and December, we've basically just been laying low. I'm starting to plan some trips for 2025 at this point and kind of seeing what we can do in the new year, and I'm very excited to share that with you over the coming year, I suppose. But I can't skip over December and what I got as a Christmas present from my loving girlfriend Bree. She surprised me with what I thought was a box of cookies. It turned out was a brand new baby Herman's tortoise. He's about a year old, his name is Chip, and he is a valued family member here at the Jungle Vault. I'm so happy he's here, and the origin for his name is when I was opening the box, one of my good friends who was at the expo where he got delivered shouted, "I hope they're chocolate chip cookies." I opened it and it was Chip, so the first thing in my head was like, Chip, that's his name. Mr. Chip, Chippy, Chippy-Doo, Chippy-Doo-Doo-Dah. It's short for chocolate chip. Yeah, I'm so excited to start a new chapter, because I did lose Sheldon this year. I guess I didn't really mention in this video, but he had a very unexpected passing. We're not gonna end it on that kind of note. That is where it all ends. December, here, now, a couple days before New Year's. Now you're all caught up with me and why I started this video saying, what the heck 2024? That is, I think, the best way to summarize it. Friendship, loss, grievance, giggles, and chocolate. Chip, that is. It was a mix of the best time spent with some of the best people, having some of the funniest moments of my entire life, while also balancing it with some of the greatest losses I've experienced in my lifetime. So I want to extend a super special thank you to all of you that have watched this video, who have made it to the end of this video, and who have chosen to subscribe, to hit the 100K subscribers on YouTube. I'm very thrilled to share this journey with you, and I will continue on for many years to come. Let me know how your 2024 was in the comment section down below. I do reply to absolutely everything. If you want to check out one of my favorite videos from this year, you can click here. That will bring you to the tour of Logan's house, where you'll get to see some of the coolest enclosures you've ever seen in a private collection. Anyways, I hope you have a very happy and safe new year. We'll see you guys in 2025. I have no idea what is in store, but I know it's going to be awesome. Later.